Hello and welcome to Doubles and Trebles. We might have a new name for the channel, but it's the same old faces, and it's certainly, in terms of my betting, it's the same results as well. That on your screen is Matt Pieman Hill, and I'm Adam Smido Smith. So yeah, it's day one of the Masters darts is in the bag. It's been nearly a month since darts were on your TV. Um, I was looking forward to it, but after three hours of watching solid darts back to back, I realised that maybe I shouldn't get carried away because I invested a few quid and it's gone absolutely terribly. So we put up Stephen Bunting was the headline of our first video. That was more in my court than Pieman's. Stephen Bunting's just gone out in a deciding leg. Myself, Pieman, and special guest Ozzy Smith all put up Dimitri Vandenberg, and he put in his worst performance in about 6 months, approximately, on TV. He was absolutely abject compared to what we all have been used to seeing from Dimitri Vandenberg. He averaged 89 in a 6-2 loss, surprise loss to Chris Dobey. So that didn't go well either. Pieman fancied Michael Smith. I tended to agree with him. Michael Smith got beat in a deciding leg to the underdog Adrian Lewis. The only thing I vaguely got right this evening was saying that Daryl Gurney would beat Jeffrey Deswan. But I did say he would do it on the handicap, and he failed to do it on the handicap, going to a deciding leg. So the betting has been absolutely terrible from me. It was pretty terrible in the World Championship until Gerwyn Price got the job done in the final itself. And the trend of getting the day by day or the ACCAs or the game by game, whatever you want to call it, the trend of me getting them absolutely terribly wrong has continued. But Matt Pieman Hill's here as well. We're just going to have a quick look back on day one itself. The first 8 games included the seeds from number 9 to 24, if I'm correct. Yes. So all the seeds 9 to 24 played this evening. 8 of them have obviously gone out, and then the 8 winners of this evening will go on to play each of the top 8 individuals in the rankings on Saturday afternoon. So there'll be 8 games taking place Saturday, 4 in the afternoon, 4 in the evening, and then on Sunday there'll be 3 rounds effectively will take place: the quarters, the semis, and the finals, all on the same day. It's top quality action. It's coming at you thick and fast, and Pieman's got plenty of opinions.
Yeah, cheers, Adam. Yeah, back to it. It's been a long time waiting for the darts to be back on our screens, but it's come back with a vengeance. In fact, I've just had a bit of a back and forth about how long I'm going to have the dart on the television for, because I predicted it would be over by about 10:30, and here I am at 11:20 still watching. So yeah, we've negotiated through that. She's been very patient with me on the arrows tonight, so I've enjoyed it. We, as you kind of touched on there, a few upsets, maybe not the way we saw certain things going. Some things we got spot on, others not so much. 6 of the 8 lower ranked players coming through their games, which does kind of show the potluck nature of these first to 6 games. You know, you don't really have time to recover from a bad start, and that was evident in most of these games. Generally, the player that got away quicker was the one that got it done. Even in that last match, Joe Cullen, he got the quick start. Bunting came back, but he just had a little bit too much to do, to be honest. Like, he missed the dart for 4-4, and, you know, as well as he was playing, you kind of felt that was his one chance it had to go. And when he didn't take it, Cullen got over the line. We saw similar with Johnny Clayton making a quick start. He got through. Simon Whitlock, quick start, got through. Daryl Gurney made a quick start, had a bit of a lull, got through. So it was a common trend, and it is a common trend on the floor events, on the Pro Tour. We see it all the time. These first to 6s, if you get out of the blocks quick, it's a tough ask for the opponent to come back. So not surprised we've had some shock results. Not surprised we managed to find some losers as well. I did have a bad feeling for Dimitri Vandenberg as soon as all 3 of us said we thought he had a great chance. And then I logged on to Twitter and saw that Wayne Mardle fancied him to win the tournament. And I thought, well, there's just no chance he's getting past Chris Dobey tonight. And sure enough, I mean, I thought Chris Dobey did reasonably well, but to average 89, it's not the Dimitri Vandenberg we were expected to turn up, is it? But no, some impressive performances and some not so good performances. But on the whole, I think a pretty good standard of darts. And as we whiz through these games, we can touch a little bit more on the performances that we've seen today.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll take a quick look at the 8 games to take place on Saturday. Most of the odds, if not all of the odds for those games are up, so we'll put a nod towards them. In terms of the losers, if you like, on day one, I'm just going to comment on Jose de Souza. My opinion on him is changing virtually every time I see him in a tournament. Burst onto the scene last year as an older individual, but in darting terms, we'd not seen much of him on our TV screens, particularly later in tournaments. He won a tournament. He won the Grand Slam. People like me got on board, backed him for the World Championship. I was confident going into the World Championship. He scraped through his first game and lost his second game, got hammered by Mervyn King. So my opinion was, changing a bit then. And then ahead of this tournament, I said to you, Pieman, was that a flash in the pan? He's not done it against the real big boys on TV. And then tonight, he's gone out against Johnny Clayton, who I love. But, disappointing. I don't think his scoring was really there. He didn't dominate many legs tonight. The Ferret's a solid player. Honestly, he's one of my favourite players on the tour. I didn't have a single penny on the game, but again, I am questioning, Jose de Souza. And the form of his Grand Slam win isn't working out all that well. He beat Michael Smith. Michael Smith's gone out in his first game of the last 3 TV tournaments. Then Jose beat Whitlock, who was disappointing at the World Championships, but was okay tonight, so that's fair enough. But then he beat James Wade in the final. James Wade went out in the first round of the Players' Championships and lost his second game of the World Championships. So I'm questioning the form of Jose. He'll be disappointed. I'm disappointed. Jeffrey Deswan showed glimpses, got a few legs on the board, but averaged 85. That's the lowest average of any player tonight. Not good enough. I backed Ian White. He missed 23 darts at a double in 9 completed legs. I'm not saying he would have won if he'd have hit a few more doubles, but that's just the story of my life on the darts. Glenn Durant won the first leg, lost 6 on the bounce to Merv King. I know you're going to cover that, Pieman. Michael Smith, I know you're going to comment on him as well, and I'll definitely leave that one to you. And Bunting, in the 180s again, averaged 101 in a losing effort. So there's a few stories to go out there, but obviously, you can certainly comment on the likes of Michael Smith, but we'll concentrate on the winners ahead of Saturday sessions.
Yeah, well, definitely a word for Michael Smith before we do that. I thought he had to come into this tournament and do well if he wanted to get that Premier League spot. He's had a tough time since that loss to Jason Lowe, seeing himself out of the equation in terms of the Premier League, and he came here and he's won 5 legs, and in those 5 legs, he's finished 2 170s, 132 and 150, and he's got beat. So I feel tremendously sorry for him, but I also am delighted for Adrian Lewis to turn up and put in a performance and withstand the barrage like that and come through it. I think that'll do him the world of good. And you wouldn't put it past Adrian Lewis to, if he plays like that, he's got the experience to win a tournament like this out of nowhere. So good to see him put in a performance like that. Daryl Gurney, I was expecting a little bit more of him, to be honest. He made that a little bit uncomfortable against Jeffrey. Made hard work of it, but I suppose he got through, and that is kind of what you got to do in these short format games. On Jose, I thought Johnny Clayton, arguably alongside Merv King, performance of the night there. I thought he was really good, and I think if he plays like that against MVG, he could knock him out for the second year in a row, but I'm not convinced he will over the longer format, but we'll see. I understand, I hear you about Jose. He started slowly, and he wasn't that impressive, to be honest, but don't want to overreact too much to a best of 11 game. He was beaten 6-5. He averaged over a ton, so it wasn't a disaster. Definitely a player who's going to be an interesting watch this year, one way or the other. Similar for Stephen Bunting. That was a game that could have gone his way. He's averaged over a ton and gone out as well, so can consider himself unlucky. As I say, performance of the night for me, without a shred of bias as well, is probably Mervyn King. I just thought he was ruthless. Lost the first leg to Glenn Durant, and you kind of thinking at that point, oh, this could be a scrappy, back and forth affair. He just didn't let Glenn into it. His scoring was really good. 6 out of 7 on the doubles is absolutely brutal. Yeah. Absolutely brutal. You're just not giving your opponent a chance. He didn't allow Glenn to get back in the match, and that's just over that short format. There's just nothing you can do. Similar to Stephen Bunting. He was 4-1 down at the break to Joe Cullen, and there was nothing he could have done more. He missed 1 dart at double 11. He was 4-1 down.
It was 3-1 down and averaging 115.
Exactly. These short format games are just absolutely brutal, and I do kind of feel like it's one of those. The World Championship has a similar feel to it. That first round, you just got to get through it by any means necessary. You know, the short format, anything can happen, and these players will feel a lot more settled now. They've got that game under their belts. They're back on the stage after a month off, and they come into their games tomorrow. Most of these guys coming in against one of the top 8 will be an underdog, but they'll have that match experience under their belt. I think we'll see some upsets again tomorrow, personally, and seems like a good time to crack on with tomorrow's game.
Yeah, just before we do that, just a tip in our hat to the outright market, so to win the whole tournament. Now, it must be said that the top 6 in the betting have yet to be played. They're ranked in the top 8. They're the big boys. They come in to play tomorrow. Now, the only 2 players that have played tonight that actually are shorter odds than one of the top 8 seeds is Mervyn King, as you've mentioned, Pieman, and Joe Cullen. The 2 seeds that are longer odds than those guys, for good reason, is James Wade and Rob Cross. I mean, we've been taking on Rob Cross for some time. But yeah, as of tomorrow, the afternoon session consists of Cross against King. Now, King's a favourite for that game, and King is the 20 seed, and Rob Cross is the number 4 seed. In our video about 3 weeks ago on this tournament, we said that Cross was a vulnerable seed or a poor seed, whatever you want to say it. So Merv King's about 8 to 11 to that. Your man Merv King, Rob Cross is 11 to 10. Second game in the afternoon is James Wade 8 to 13 against Chris Dobey 13 to 10. I thought Dobey was decent on night 1. To be fair, although Vandenberg was poor, Dobey's average 97. That's good for him. Aspinall against Sulevic. Aspinall's 4 to 7 to win that game. And then the final game in the afternoon session, Chisnall is 4 to 6 to beat Gurney 6 to 5. That is probably the closest game of the afternoon. On the odds makers, what takes your fancy in the afternoon session tomorrow, Pieman, on Saturday?
Well, I think we both kind of said it. You know, Merv King, we were saying it halfway through the game. He's going to be a serious. He's got to fancy himself to beat Rob Cross, and it was a little, if a little disappointing. No surprise to see him put in as an odds-on favourite. You know, there's just simply no way around it. Rob Cross hasn't shown any real form for 6 months now. Merv King very much on an upward curve. Even when he's gone out in tournaments recently, it's been with good performances, you know. So, you know he's going to turn up. He's got that game under his belt, as I was saying. That's an obvious advantage to me. Rob Cross, I don't want to discount him as much as some people maybe have. I think it's a massive year for him. I thought he was a little unlucky in the World Championships. Let's not forget, he went out to Dirk van Dijvenbode in a last leg decider where he played quite well. It was a good game, that. And Dirk took out a 3-figure out in the last leg with Cross sat on, I think, a single finish. So, you know, that could have gone very differently. And who knows what he would have done, because Dirk managed to negotiate a little run beyond there, didn't he? And now he's hot property kind of thing. So he'll probably consider himself a bit unlucky. It's a big year for Rob Cross. But I would be with Merv. I just think Merv is very solid and reliable at the moment. I think later in the piece, Nathan Aspinall's game, I just can't see past Nathan Aspinall.
Agreed.
He's no price, but that's for good reason. You know, Mensah, he didn't have to do a lot to beat Ian White. He played okay. Ian White, as you know, as you were a backer of Ian White, missed a shed load of doubles. To miss 20-something doubles over a first of 6 is quite impressive, you know.
It could only happen with my money on it. It's just
well, one to carve out as many chances as he did, and then to miss them all virtually is, I mean, look, we said in our preview Ian White and Mensah Sulevic was going to be a scrappy game and not far from a classic. Mensah has come through it now. You never want to discount Mensah entirely. I mean, look, these are the top 24 players in the world. We're not going to discount anyone entirely, but Nathan Aspinall, to me, if he turns up and plays sort of 60% of his game, that'll be enough to beat Mensah, unless Mensah significantly improves on that performance. What other game did we have in the afternoon?
Chisnall Gurney now.
Yeah, Gurney. I put up Gurney at 50 to 1 as a chance for this tournament. I wanted to see a little bit more than what I saw against Jeffrey. I thought he raced into a 3-0 lead, and then Dizwan ended up getting his nose in front, and Gurney had to really kind of scrap over the line. But I mean, he did, and that is kind of, as I say, that's what you got to do in these early rounds, short format. Just find a way to win. He found a way to win. The last leg was very comfortable. You know, he put in a couple of 2 treble visits, and then he had his 3 at double 16, worked his way in. It was a workman-like victory, I would say. He'll have to be better. a lot of this depends on what Chizzy turns up. If the Chizzy that played Vandenberg turns up, he'll wipe the floor with Gurney. If the Chizzy that plays Gary Anderson, these are referencing the World Championships, of course. If the Chizzy that plays Gary Anderson turns up, I'd fancy Gurney to turn him over. And I think they've put Gurney in as a slight outsider for this match.
6-5.
Feels about right to me. I wouldn't be getting involved with it, to be honest. But obviously, I'd like to see Gurney progress. And what was our final game? That other Dobey...
Dobey Wade is the second game on tomorrow.
Yeah,
I mean,
now
at 13-10, I'd be with Dobey tomorrow.
I can make a case for Dobey. Yeah. James Wade has blown hot and cold for months now. Yes, he had a very good run in, was it the Grand Prix? One of the tournaments at the back end of the year.
The final of the Grand Slam against...
Grand Slam is what I'm thinking of, yeah. Look, and then he was talked up ahead of the Players' Championships, went out first round to Nels Zonneveld, and then a very disappointing exit to Stephen Bunting in the World Championships. Remember, he threw a 9-darter and just in amongst a dreadful performance, averaged in the 80s with a 9-darter. He's just too unreliable for me, James Wade. Like, we all know if he turns up, he should beat Dobey, but Dobey's got that win under his belt against Vandenberg. That'll have given him a lot of confidence. He's averaged 97, as you say, a very solid, respectable average. And I think he'll quite fancy his chances. It's a bit of a free hit for Dobey. Wade will have to be on it or he'll go. He'll go out. So, I would be quite happy to put Dobey at the prices. I think he's got a chance.
Yeah, I think that of the 4 games in the afternoon, I think everyone's priced pretty correctly. And now I think Dobey represents the best value on offer on Saturday afternoon. He's 13-10. He's actually the biggest price. Nearly the biggest price of any of the outsiders on Saturday afternoon. In Saturday evening, I'm just waiting for one of the games to come through in terms of prices, but we'll have Gary Anderson against Adrian Lewis, a repeat of the 2011 World Championship final, where Adrian Lewis hit a 9-darter in the first set. So as I always say, you know what I'm going to say about Adrian Lewis, don't you, Pieman? Darts is a better place when Adrian Lewis is playing well. He needs an haircut, though, to be fair, but I think that's lockdown related.
Don't we all?
Good game against Smith, and fair play to Lewis. I think Anderson would do him. To be fair, Anderson's 2-5. Peter Snakebite Wright enters the fold. He's 4-9 against Simon Whitlock. I would be all over Simon Whitlock at 7-4 there. I really, really would. That's the best price I've seen on offer all day, to be honest, in terms of Saturday. Van Gerwen takes on Clayton. Now, I do like Clayton, but I kind of wanted Jose to win because I wanted to see him up against Van Gerwen. Unfortunately, we're going to have to wait for another day for that. Van Gerwen's any price you like, and Clayton pretty much won't be winning that if you ask me.
It's about 5s on, isn't he, Van Gerwen, I think? Yeah,
that's correct. And then the final game, it's not priced up because Joe Cullen's only just won. Faces Gerwin Price. Now I get Joe Cullen and Jamie Lewis mixed up, but Joe Cullen against Gerwin Price, the new world number 1, the new world champion. What do you make of the evening session, Pieman?
Well, I will reluctantly sort of disagree with you on one of the games. Gary Anderson, Adrian Lewis. I give Adrian Lewis a squeak here. I thought Gary Anderson. He kind of got to the world final by accident. I know that was something that you said a few times, it rang true for me. Wasn't that impressive on his way there, to be honest. He scraped past Mensur Suljovic in a horrible match. He then had pretty much a walkover against Devon Peterson, who just couldn't hit a double to save his life. And we kind of said when he got past Jason Lowe, Gary Anderson will spank him in the next round unless he improves, and he did. And then he played Chizzy at the perfect time, didn't he? Chizzy had that huge couple of performances coming into that, and then he just kind of, the energy was drained out. Mando did a job on him. It was very he used all his experience, I thought, and ground him down. So I'm not trying to discredit someone who's got to a world final, but it's not like in previous years when he's got to a world final, he's been playing unbelievable darts, hasn't he? But I don't think he's at that level at the moment. Now, he has said that 2021 is going to be the year he starts trying again. Yeah. I have made comments saying that I'm very keen on Gary Anderson's prospects this year, but we're still a bit early in the piece for me. We've been in a lockdown. He was in the world final 3 or 4 weeks ago. Not convinced he'll have started hammering the practice just yet. So I will be interested to see what Gary Anderson turns up. I think Adrian Lewis, really encouraging signs tonight. As I say, came up against Michael Smith, who they were both playing reasonably well, if not like top draw. Plenty of back and forth. He could have easily wilted when Michael Smith was putting in them big finishes, but he didn't. He was acknowledging them. He was played in a good spirit. He held it together in the last leg, better than Michael Smith. Yeah, I think Adi looks in a good headspace. I think it could go close. He might even turn him over, and I think he's a reasonable price to do so as well, isn't he? I think
2-1. So
yeah, well maybe on a handicap then. With Adi.
Yeah, the handicap, the plus 2.5 handicap for Lewis is 5-6. So that's Lewis.
Yeah, I think he'll take it close. I think he'll take it close. I do.
I don't think he will. So me and you disagree there, Pieman. You think Lewis will win 8 legs at least? I don't. So
to be honest, for 8 legs, I think I'd probably rather go win. I'll go Lewis win. I think. Yeah, 2-1. I think it's worth it. Yeah.
So the question is, Pieman, with the channel now named Doubles and Trebles, we're going to put up a double and a treble every time we do a video. I did the day 1 and it was a disaster. So you're going to do Masters day 2. What is your double and what is your treble?
Well, just quickly before I dive onto that, because I will give you a double and a treble that you can avoid. Like your life depends on it. But just quickly, I totally agree with you with Whitlock to beat Wright. I think Whitlock, we know he's in form, played really well against Christopher Ratajski. He looked fired up for it. Peter Wright, very unreliable. I want to give a quick footnote on Michael van Gerwen. I read that he's changing his darts. He's ditching the old darts. He says it's time to try something new. The last time he did this, big problems.
Yeah, but is it something new, brand new, or is he just going back to this time a year ago? Because just to explain, from around post-lockdown last year, so say from May onwards, Van Gerwen reverted to his old faithful darts because at the start of 2020, he signed a new supplier deal. They lasted about 4 months. His form dipped. Lockdown came along. He went back to his old darts, played pretty well with them, won a TV tournament, did okay in the World Championship. So is he going to his most recent, is he going to his 2020 darts or is he going to brand new darts? Pieman, you tell me.
Well, I can't tell you, unfortunately. I can only tell you that he said that it's time to try something new. Interpret that however you like. I know that there was we speculated that there may have been a bit of controversy over his sponsors maybe asking him to play with new darts. He didn't like it and he just decided to revert, and maybe it's like I would speculate that he maybe had an agreement in place where he said, look, I can't get used to these, I'm gonna go back to what I know for the Worlds, and then I'll we'll try again in 2021, and that might just make me give Van Gerwen a wide berth until I've seen him play with them. So I'll probably avoid that game. Gerwen Price, Joe Cullen is another game I will avoid just because I think Joe Cullen looks in great nick. He only went out to Van Gerwen in an amazing match at the Worlds. So I couldn't confidently take him or Price. I think that'll be a great game. So in terms of selections, well, I'm going to put Simon Whitlock straight win in there. What price have we got on that?
7-4 Whitlock.
We'll have Simon Whitlock straight win, and we will have Mervyn King straight win in a double.
Right, that's 3.75 to 1 double there, Pieman.
Okay, 3.75 to 1 double. And then for the trebles, we'll stick with the same 2 selections and add in Chris Dobey against James Wade.
That goes up to 9.92, so just about 10 to 1.
There you go. And the beauty of that is when one of Whitlock or King loses, that's both of them down for you. So, you don't have the agony of waiting for the other one to go down.
Yeah, right. I like it. So, right, we're going to wrap it up there. It's late. Make sure you catch up. Like I say, the action's going to come at you thick and fast Saturday. We're keeping the content coming. So, yeah, please let us know your thoughts, selections, losers, winners in the description. And we'll speak to you very soon.
Thank you.
Cheers.